Can the education be institutionalized? Of course, there is a need for a structure to have the education put under the very strict observation for the best education possible for everyone. But the very faith in that system could be in question. Why the people, without having had many degrees, have made tremendous success in their lives? Why? So is it the faith in the institution of education or other way around? The very faith that we have towards our education could be limiting us, whereas the people whose faith revolves around self-evolution, revolves around being adaptive to new changes, could be making much more headways than people just following a set of ideas which has been into practice for many years. So the very agility towards which a person with self-evolution works and try to adapt himself or herself into the changing time is much more progressive than the one who adhered to the set of theories which never work on the ground of pragmatism. So on one hand we have the very faith in the institution of education. On the other hand, the very foundation of faith in the institution of education is very shoddy. Maybe the idea of nurturing what we are capable of resides in harnessing the skill that all of us are endowed with. All of us have some qualities in us which we were born with. It's inherent in us. But unfortunately, due to the system that has been put on us, which you call the institution of education, the qualities that could have been the breeding ground for our success have now been turned into a chaos of negligence. And not only that, if the education had not been there trying to put our intellect to the point where the system itself is at fault, system itself negates the very quality that is part of whom we are. System itself negates the power that we can overcome without having to follow these set of methodology of education, methodology of reading books and learning something which is not needed because we don't belong to that. So here the institution of education is much more destructive to the inner potential. One could have been much better off having been not so much inclined towards the institution of education itself. So what is important here is to know what we are capable of, and that works with the very level-headed people without getting influenced from anyone. All of us are born with certain qualities, but if that is not taken to a certain level, it goes waste. It just becomes even more dormant, and the very possibility of the inner talent always lie low in the face of these institutions. So the very faith that we have in the institution of education is very faulty. But we have faith in these institutions. But how many professors have been able to invent something new? Of course, there are theories and theories, there are books and books, and one has to read in order to know what is not there. So it is about understanding the very nature of us. Of course, all of us are born with certain character. And these characters, which are so inherent in potential, that once harnessed and given right space to grow, reaches the potential, reaches the exponential growth one can achieve. But the same inherent quality or character of potential, if it is put into a system, at times it can suffocate itself. This is what we have seen, that it ends up suffocating it rather than giving it more oxygen to grow and find its own true meaning. So the very faith that we have in the institution of education is all great, but it cannot be just upheld with some utopian idealism. It cannot be just regarded and respected and honored infinitely. We can't do that. We need to create a space for the people who could be self-taught, and all the people who have been able to do something out of the world extraordinary are the ones who are self-taught. So if any set of curriculum do not give the mind to imagine and the mind to think, then it is certainly limiting us. It won't lead us anywhere. It will just be one of the ritual kind of. Someone has done it many times in the past, and you are also doing the same, and it would just repeat itself. But the very possibility of something more to come out of you is just not possible, because one has been totally bogged down by the number of theories one has to learn. It's about feeding more and more data into our brain. But to know that there could be much more than what there has been and there is, and to walk towards it, to walk towards unknown zone, will certainly require self-isolation, will certainly require self-observation, will certainly require self-inspection, will certainly require doing things that have not been done in the past. Don't you think so? So what is important here is to allow the people to create a very dignified distance from the curriculum of their study material and what they can do beyond that. If I am supposed to do only that part, which has been done by millions of people almost every single year, I would also end up becoming one of them. That is all fine. But it could also be limiting me. So it's very important to be self-taught. It's very important that the institution of education shall allow the imagination to fly, which all of us are capable of. So it's very important that today's age and time, since everything is changing, we've got to be more adaptive to new changes. We have to keep up with the pace of time, and if we do not do that, time will just relapse itself and we will find ourselves at the rather extreme corner of it and be just a witness as time passes by. But we can be the change that we seek in the world. We can be very much in the stream of the change that will be much more fulfilling rather than just being pushed sideways. And that is possible only if we are courageous enough to be with the evolving time. Maybe with this set of educational system, it may not be able to provide that platform. So think twice. Maybe just list out 20 greatest people in the world in any field. Just look at their qualifications. Which school they went to, which college they went to, which university they have been to. Most of them would be either dropout or never gave such importance to the existing education, because there was something much more significant they found within themselves, which these educational institutions could not have provided. So it is our faith in the institution of education or somewhere else. So since we come from this country where education is such an important part of the game, everyone is supposed to do it, has to do it. It's like a status quo, is keeping up with what is going on around you. So at least from today onwards, respect those who do not believe in the very set of this framework. Start respecting their views as well. Not to kind of ostracize them or negate them and disapprove them. So we cannot be just so contemptuous towards people holding different views, can we? So with this changing time, let's begin with new rays of hope, which could be much more significant than ever believed and thought of before.